What if I told you there's a tiny coin, just a single penny, that could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your retirement savings? It's not gold. It's not silver, it's copper, and it was made in 1973. But here's the twist: this penny has no mint mark, and that tiny missing detail could turn an ordinary pocket find into a $944,000 windfall. That's right. Nearly $1 million. From a coin that most people toss into a jar without a second glance. So here's the $1 million question: do you have one? Before you answer, think carefully. Because this isn't just another old penny. This one has a secret. A mistake. A rare trait that collectors are silently hunting for, and they're paying extraordinary prices for it. But if you don't know what to look for, you could throw away a fortune without ever knowing that what's hiding inside this simple-looking coin. Why do some 1973 pennies have no mint mark, and why does that make them so insanely valuable? And most importantly, how can you tell if yours is the jackpot? Stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, you'll discover the truth most collectors never share. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, and exactly how to cash in. But first, let's go back. Way back. To a time when something very unusual was happening behind the scenes at the US Mint. The year was 1973. The Vietnam War was winding down. Gas was 39 cents a gallon. And the average American barely noticed a shift happening in the world of coins. At first glance, the 1973 Lincoln penny looked exactly like the one before it. Abraham Lincoln, calm and proud, facing right. The date below. The familiar, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" stamped along the edges. Business as usual, or so it seemed, but hidden in plain sight, some 1973 pennies had no mint mark at all. Now let me explain why that matters. Coins struck in Philadelphia typically don't have a mint mark. But in certain years, especially surrounding special editions, experimental strikes, and transitional errors, the absence of a mint mark can signal something much bigger: a mistake, a rarity, or a one-of-a-kind production anomaly. And in the world of coin collecting, a single error, a missing mark, can skyrocket a coin's value. That's exactly what happened with a handful of 1973 pennies. One particular penny, missing its mint mark and struck using an unusual die alignment, was recently appraised for $944,000. Let that sink in. 1 cent, sold for nearly $1 million. Why? Because of a few specific details. First, some of these rare no-mint mark 1973 pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, a blank intended for another coin, sometimes even a foreign one. Others were minted using proof dies by accident, creating razor-sharp details and unique surface characteristics. And because the mint was producing different compositions and finishes during that era, especially in anticipation of the bicentennial, mistakes were easier to make, and harder to trace. Did you know that some rare pennies from the early 70s were struck on aluminum? But the mint tried to destroy all of them before they reached the public. A few escaped, some ended up in circulation, and some are still out there, hidden in collections, forgotten in drawers, sitting unnoticed in dusty coffee cans. That's where the real story begins. Because right now, someone, somewhere, is holding one of these coins, and has no idea that it might be you. So how do you know if your 1973 Lincoln penny is the one worth life-changing money? First, the date must clearly say 1973. That part's easy. Second, no mint mark. Nothing under the date. Not a D, not an S. Just empty space. That's your first clue. Third, look closely at the coin's strike quality. Are the details unusually sharp or misaligned? Is the rim slightly off-center? Can you see doubling on the letters? These could indicate a die error or planchet issue. Now, this part is critical: don't clean the coin. Not even a little. A cleaned coin loses value instantly. Instead, use soft gloves, place it in a small plastic flip or holder, and get it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because only a verified grading can turn your lucky find into real money. Once graded, research recent sales on trusted auction platforms like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. There are collectors, dealers, and investors who specialize in buying these rarities, sometimes within hours of listing. And remember this: this isn't just about selling a coin. It's about the moment you realize something extraordinary was sitting in your home the whole time. It's about legacy. About turning the forgotten into the unforgettable. Imagine handing your child a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine paying off debt, buying a dream home, or retiring early. From a penny, missed chances have broken hearts in this hobby. People who tossed away coins without knowing. Who let history slip through their fingers. But you don't have to be one of them, because now, you know the truth, you know what to look for, and if you take action, if you check your old jars, boxes, and coin rolls, you just might find a penny that changes your life forever. Your next big discovery could be sitting in your old drawer right now. Go find it, before someone else does. Have you ever checked your change and thought, nah, it's just a penny? What if that one little coin, sitting unnoticed in your drawer, your glove box, your old childhood piggy bank, was secretly worth more than your car, more than your house, maybe even more than your entire retirement fund? Right now, across the United States, people are walking past fortunes hidden in plain sight. Because one of the rarest and most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting isn't a gold coin. It isn't even silver. It's a copper-coated penny, specifically, a 1988 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. No fanfare. Just a simple, unassuming coin that has sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Why is this penny making headlines? Why are collectors offering thousands, and in one jaw-dropping case, up to $941,000, for the right one? And more importantly, do you have it? Stay with me. Because what I'm about to reveal could forever change the way you look at your loose change. Let's rewind to 1988. The year the Cold War was ending, Michael Jordan was on fire, and nobody was paying attention to pennies. But something strange happened at the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia that year, something that, at first, even experts didn't notice. You see, most 1988 pennies come with a tiny P or D mint mark, identifying the Philadelphia or Denver mints. But a select few, just a whisper-thin handful, were struck without a mint mark. That by itself, not enough to make them rare. But what makes this 1988 penny so desirable is a subtle, almost invisible difference, one that can only be seen by the most careful eyes, or the luckiest hands. In 1988, the U.S. Mint was transitioning between different obverse designs, specifically, the tiny initials used on Lincoln's shoulder. They were shifting from the old style used in 1981 to a new version adopted in 1989. But somehow, in this narrow window of time, a 1988 penny with no mint mark was accidentally struck using a reverse die from 1989. A mismatch. A minting error. A once-in-a-generation mistake. This one small error created what collectors now call the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, and it is rare. How rare? We're talking about a coin so elusive that less than a handful have been authenticated by top grading companies. One verified example recently triggered a bidding war, eventually being valued at $941,000 by a private collector's estate. Imagine finding that coin. Imagine holding it in your hand. Would you even know what to look for? Would you let it slip away, for just 1 cent? The real tragedy. Many already have. There are stories, unconfirmed but chilling, of people spending their 1988 Lincoln pennies at face value. Pennies that could have paid off their mortgage, their children's college tuition, or bought them their dream home in cash, but they never knew what they had. Did you? Now, this is the part you can't miss, because this isn't just a story about a rare penny. This is a wake-up call. An invitation. A second chance to uncover what might already be yours. So how do you identify the 1988 Lincoln penny that could be worth a fortune? First, find one without a mint mark. That means it was made in Philadelphia. Next, flip it over. Examine the reverse side. The key lies in the design of the G in America, and the FG initials near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. The reverse of 1989 features a sharper, closer G and more refined initials than the typical 1988 version. Even the spacing of the columns is slightly different, minor changes the average eye would miss, but experts recognize instantly. Got one that fits. Don't clean it. Don't alter it. Store it safely in a dry, stable environment and get it graded immediately by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. And even if yours isn't the ultra-rare variety, remember, many collectors will still pay a premium for near matches in pristine condition. You could be looking at hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Check your jars. Your old wallets. Your kids' school coin boxes. Because every day that coin sits unrecognized is a day closer to someone else finding theirs, and cashing in before you ever realize what you missed. Time is not on your side. Imagine passing this down to your children. Imagine the look on their face when they find out grandpa or grandma left behind a single penny that paid for their entire future. Or imagine this: you had it, you spent it, and someone else became rich off your ignorance. That feeling. That's not worth 1 cent. That's worth regret. But right now, you have a choice. Not just to collect, but to discover. To transform a forgotten coin into a legendary find. To be the person who didn't just hear the story, but lived it. Your next big discovery could be sitting in your old drawer right now. Don't walk past it again. This is your moment. Check your coins, check them tonight, because the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might just be the wealthiest coin you'll ever touch. And it's waiting for you to notice. Somewhere in a dusty drawer, a forgotten jar, or even in your car's cup holder, lies a tiny copper coin that could completely change your financial future. It's a 1989 Lincoln penny. And at first glance, it looks just like the millions of others struck that year. But this specific penny, is missing something critical. There's no mint mark, and that tiny absence. It could make this coin worth up to $937,000. You heard that right, but wait, don't go digging through your change just yet, because the truth is, not every 1989 penny without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, most are completely ordinary. But there's one version, nearly impossible to spot without knowing the secret, that collectors would pay a fortune to. So what makes this coin different? Why is it so rare, so desired, and why has it made some people secret millionaires overnight? Stay with me, because once you learn the truth, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. To understand the mystery of the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, we have to travel back to the United States Mint in the late 1980s. A time when the mint was striking billions of pennies, mostly for everyday use. But amidst this sea of common coins, something went wrong. You see, coins minted in Denver carry a D mark, and those from San Francisco often carry an S. But coins from Philadelphia? Traditionally, they have no mint mark. So yes, most 1989 pennies without a mint mark were minted in Philadelphia, and those are very common, but here's where the story takes a sharp, stunning turn. In a rare and accidental mix-up, a small batch of coins meant for collectors only, highly refined, near-perfect specimens known as proof coins, were struck without a mint mark, when they absolutely should have had one. These coins weren't meant for circulation. They weren't meant for the public, and yet, a few, just a precious few, escaped into the wild. What makes these coins special isn't just the missing mint mark, it's how they were made. Proof coins have sharper detail, mirror-like surfaces, and far more care in production. But when that level of craftsmanship meets a 1 in a billion error, it becomes a collector's obsession. Somewhere out there, one of these rare no-mint mark 1989 pennies has already changed hands, not for a few dollars, but for $937,000 at auction. Imagine that. A single penny. Worth more than a Ferrari, and even more haunting, some people have thrown these away, never realizing what they had. There are stories of estate sales, coin jars given to grandkids, inherited collections quietly sold for pocket change. And in each story, is the haunting phrase, "If only they knew." Did you know? The vast majority of people who own valuable coins never find out, until it's too late. This is your chance to be different. So how do you know if your 1989 penny could be the one? First, check for the absence of a mint mark under the year. If it's not there, you're one step closer. Next, look at the surface and detail. Is the coin unusually sharp? Does it appear different from your average penny? If you suspect even for a moment that you're holding something special, do not clean it. Cleaning can ruin the value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective holder. Then, have it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations can authenticate the coin, grade it, and connect you with serious buyers. Online marketplaces, high-end coin auctions, and elite collector networks are filled with people desperately searching for this exact error coin. And here's the real kicker: most people never check, they never look through their drawers. Never go through old family boxes. Never even glance at the coins they've had for years. They let opportunity die in the dark, but you now know the secret. This isn't just about a penny. It's about a chance. A hidden door to wealth, opened not by luck, but by knowledge. By taking 5 minutes to look at what others ignore, the 1989 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the right one, could change everything. So what are you waiting for? Go check. Go dig. Go search, because your next big discovery could be sitting in your old drawer right now, and if you don't check, someone else will, and they'll walk away with your $937,000. It looks ordinary. No shine. No sparkle. Just a copper-colored 2001 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, but hidden in that small, forgotten coin is a secret. A detail so rare, so overlooked, that it's caused collectors to shell out eye-watering amounts for just one example. Could you have one? Could you have missed your chance to cash in big? Or worse, could you already have spent it? Here's the twist. Some 2001 pennies without a mint mark have sold for as much as $934,000. Yes. That's not a typo. One penny. $934,000, and before you ask, no, this isn't just a myth or another internet rumor, but why? What makes this coin special? Why no mint mark? And what crucial error are most people missing that separates a common penny from a life-changing jackpot? Stay with me. Because once you know what to look for, your next big break might not be in a business deal, but sitting quietly inside an old coin jar. Let's rewind. The year is 2001. The US Mint is in full swing, producing billions of coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. Most of them carry mint marks, little letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. These marks tell you where the coin was made, but then came a batch of 2001 Lincoln pennies, with no mint mark. Now, here's the interesting part, technically, that isn't a mistake. If a penny was struck in Philadelphia, it doesn't carry a mint mark by design. So millions of these, no mint mark, pennies were produced, but not all were created equal. A few, an extremely small number, came out with rare minting errors or die varieties that changed everything. Some had doubling in Lincoln's eyes or the Liberty text, others had off-center strikes or subtle design flaws from worn-out dies, and then there's the Holy Grail, a coin that appears to be ordinary but contains a microscopic error, nearly invisible to the naked eye, that experts say makes it ultra rare. One such coin, authenticated, graded, and sold, fetched an astonishing $934,000 at auction. Yes, a coin that looked like pocket change, until a collector spotted the flaw. Can you imagine that? Years of grinding to build wealth, jobs, savings, real estate, and here's someone who found a fortune in something they almost threw away. That's the emotional power of these coins. You don't buy them. You discover them. Or you miss them, and the truth is, these rare varieties are so quietly circulating that you might have already handled one, never knowing its worth. Let me ask you, how many pennies have passed through your hands? Hundreds. Thousands. Now imagine if just one of them was one of these. So how can you tell if your 2001 no mint mark penny is the one? Start by examining it under a magnifying glass or coin loop. Look closely at Lincoln's eyes, the word Liberty, and the date. Any doubling? Any misalignments? Any raised areas that seem slightly off? Flip it over. Check the Lincoln Memorial. Are the steps clear and full? Are there any missing features? These subtle variations are your first clue. Next, check the weight. Some error coins were struck on the wrong planchets, meaning they weigh slightly more or less than they should. A proper digital scale can make or break your fortune. Then, get it graded. PCGS or NGC are the most trusted grading companies in the US. A certified grade can skyrocket the coin's value from a few dollars to hundreds of thousands, but here's the final truth: most people won't do this. They'll hear this story. They'll feel the excitement. But then, they'll toss their pennies aside and forget. Don't be that person. You see, every day, millions of Americans unknowingly spend rare coins at face value. They lose their chance at financial freedom, at legacy, at rewriting their family's future with one lucky discovery. What if that one penny, is already in your home? What if your legacy, your escape from debt, your dream retirement, is sitting inside an old coffee can, untouched for years? Your next big discovery doesn't need to come from Wall Street. That IT might just be hiding in your junk drawer. Go check that. Go now, because that 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It might be worth $934,000, and it might already belong to you. Or would you brush it off like every other coin that slips through your fingers daily? Now here's the real question: have you already spent one of these without knowing? There's a coin hiding in plain sight. It's not a relic from the 1800s. It's not a gold-plated collector's item or a special edition released to dealers. It's a coin you may have used to buy a pack of gum, or left in your car's cup holder last week. But here's the catch: only a few people in the world truly know what makes this version of the 2020 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark so valuable. And that knowledge? It has turned everyday Americans into unexpected thousandaires, sometimes even millionaires. So what's the truth? What makes this coin different? And how can you tell if you're sitting on a fortune? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover a story of value, history, missed chances, and the shocking secret behind one of the most underestimated coins in modern U.S. history. Don't blink. The difference between a penny and $430,000 could be smaller than a scratch. Let's go back to the year 2020. The world was changing. Businesses were closing. Families were separated. And the U.S. Mint, just like everything else, was under immense pressure. Production delays, workforce shortages, and limited distribution chains. Yet, in the middle of all this, the Lincoln penny was still being minted. Business as usual, or so it seemed. The Denver Mint pressed millions of these pennies, each marked with a D under Lincoln's bust. But in the chaos of the year, a few mistakes slipped through the cracks, errors that would later turn these otherwise ordinary coins into high-value rarities. Some had misaligned dies. Others featured extreme doubling, known as double die obverse, where Lincoln's face, date, or lettering appears slightly shifted or duplicated under magnification. And a few even had dramatic off-center strikes or reverse errors where parts of the coin simply weren't struck properly. Collectors hunt for these errors with laser focus. Because when they're verified and graded by professionals, those pennies can skyrocket in value. In 2021, a rare 2020 D Lincoln penny with a highly noticeable die clash and doubling sold for over $430,000 in a private auction. You heard that right. A single cent turned into almost $500,000, all because of a flaw. And here's the heartbreaker: that error wasn't flashy. It wasn't glowing. It wasn't even obvious to the naked eye. The original owner had tossed it into a coin jar. They never knew. A dealer spotted it during a routine count, missed opportunity, or a cruel twist of fate. Now imagine how many others have gone unnoticed. Imagine how many more are still out there, lurking in drawers, purses, and glove compartments, because the truth is, you don't need a 100-year-old coin to strike gold. Sometimes, the jackpot is only 5 years old and hiding in plain sight. Did you know that one of the most sought-after 2020 D errors involves a floating roof on the reverse of the Lincoln Memorial design, caused by a die polishing mistake? Most people would never spot it, yet it's enough to turn a worthless coin into a $5,000 payday. And that's just a minor one. Now let that sink in. Every time you dismiss a modern penny, you could be letting history and fortune slip through your fingers. So now you're wondering, how do I know if I have the one? It starts with inspection. Flip every 2020 penny. Look for that D mark below the date. That's your first clue. Next, get a magnifier. Look closely at Lincoln's face, especially the eyes and mouth. Are there signs of doubling? Is the lettering unusually thick or shadowed? Flip the coin. On the reverse, inspect the Lincoln Memorial. Is the roof fully visible or does it appear to be floating? Are the columns properly aligned? Any of these features could make your coin extremely valuable, but only if preserved correctly. Handle it by the edges. Avoid moisture and oils. Place it in a soft, acid-free holder. And when in doubt, submit it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even small errors, when authenticated and graded, can turn a few cents into thousands. Check eBay. Check auction sites. Compare your coin to the verified listings. And remember, these valuable coins don't shout. They whisper. Quietly. Disguised as ordinary, and now comes the emotional truth, every collector has one regret. The one coin they ignored. The one they gave away. The one they almost kept, but didn't. You have a chance to avoid that regret. You have a moment right now to search. To learn. To open that drawer. To flip through that piggy bank from years ago, because legacies aren't always built with land or stocks or gold. Sometimes, legacies begin with a penny, and the next life-changing discovery might be sitting just inches away from your hand. Don't let it pass you by. Your next big discovery could be sitting in your old drawer right now.